Hello everyone and welcome to a game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from IamOiman, and I'm terribly sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name. Now he is in the Chapayev, the tier 8 Russian cruiser. He is on the map Okinawa and it's a tier 10 battle, so that's not so nice I suppose, but there are a lot of tier 8s around, so not the worst kind of matchmaking I guess. Now Okinawa is definitely not the best map for a cruiser. I generally am not very fond of this map. Now the friendly team has already taken the B cap, the enemy team has taken the A cap, and there is lots of stuff going on. Right now we have a Baltimore who is a little bit too much broadside. Now he is shooting armor piercing and this Baltimore should go down momentarily. Well, still floating, but Baltimore is holding on there, but not for much longer I'd say, and down he goes. Now up here in the north, the friendly team is all over the place. That's basically what happens a lot in the north. People just go way too far up to the A and B line, and that's the worst thing that can happen, because you're basically pretty useless up there. Especially since the friendly team doesn't even control this point, and they aren't really making a push for that. The Shimakaze is hacking a zone wall, which is not what you want to see your destroyers do. Now, what would be very nice is if we had a friendly destroyer at the C cap, but all of the destroyers are more up to the north. Right now, I don't think there is any radar threat. I mean, that's Moskva, but Moskva is far enough away. So all the friendly needed was a friendly destroyer to like poke into the C cap, and they could contest it and stop the enemy from capping. They also don't have that many ships up here, there's plenty of potential to help out, but they need a destroyer to take C, and the friendlies don't have them. On the bright side, they can kind of discourage this Republic from taking the center, because losing the only point they have would be kind of problematic. Now ship-wise it's still pretty even, but you see, like those ships they're going away from C, they should probably be going more towards C. It's like... And again, they don't have a destroyer around. But so far this is a mess. And what's worse is that, what are you going to do as a Chapayev? At Chapayev you are low tier in this battle, and while radar can be a very powerful tool, there aren't really many islands here where you could hide behind and just radar the cap. You can't really push on your own because you're way too squishy. You have to keep a reasonable distance to the enemy or you'll just get wrecked. Pretty hard. Now this one Iowa is trying something somewhat aggressive. Well, he's also trying to show his broadside to the entire enemy team, it feels like, which is not going to go very well for him. Now, of course, battleships don't want to push into sea without a destroyer spotting for them. We don't have a destroyer here just yet. But it's possible that the Yugumo is coming this way, and the friendlies have been discouraged from taking the center, so there is that. Now up in the north, that Benson arrived because the Shimakaze refuses to do anything near the cap. Looks like at least the Benson is now up there, trying something. Meanwhile, IamOiman has found a use for his radar. He is close enough to those destroyers. And, well, now let's hope that the team can take advantage of that. Now, of course, Russian radar isn't going to last very long, so... honestly, I think the last salvo he probably should have shot the Yugumo again. Because taking out the destroyers is just so important. But once again, he's in Chapayev, he just has to run away now once more, because he can't really be the frontline ship. That Iowa has unsurprisingly gone down, meanwhile never managed to stop showing broadside, it looks like. And now something very scary is happening. A Moskva is pushing into the B cap. That means that the friendly destroyers can't really go in there and contest, because the Moskva has radar. So what you now need are the battleships. You need battleships to discourage this Moskva from pushing. What stops cruisers mostly from like being aggressive is the powerful guns of battleships. Well, and maybe fellow cruisers who could burn them, but battleships are really scary if you get too close to them in a cruiser. Cruisers are the strongest if they are able to kite away, and oh, that Moskva was detonated. That's nice, but yeah, looks like a battleship took interest and cleared out that cap. Now Ashima is trying to cap B, Yogumo is there to hopefully contest this. Unfortunately, once again, not too much support. Those ships, they are still going up north for whatever reason, because if you only have one cap, it's probably best to just let that fall in enemy hands, right? Now, the enemy team here is pushing, and all that's stopping this push is a poor Chapayev and an Atago, and... well, IamOiman is already really low on health for his cruiser here. Now what they need down here is reinforcements, right? I mean, people to stop this push and people who help in the B cap. So, for example, this Henry and this North Carolina, if like 5 minutes ago they just turned around, or maybe held position in the center, they could have been equally helpful in defending B and in stopping this C push. Now the friendly team is out of caps. They still have a destroyer left, the Shimakaze. The Shimakaze has finally found his way into the cap. I guess he got bored at the zone wall. And well, our Chapayev here actually managed to get a Witherer. Now, with his health at the Chapayev, the best he can still do is just try to stay at a long range and do as much damage as he can. He needs an opening to get close again, maybe get some more uses out of his radar. But right now it's just... he's just not in a position where he can do much. Now he's currently undetected and he probably won't shoot until he has completed his turn. Can't go any further because there is a zone wall here. Turning in aggressively towards those guys doesn't seem like the best idea, but what else is he going to do, right? At the A cap, maybe the Shimakaze can get some good torpedoes into the Republic. There is also an Amagi there together. I'm hoping that they are... oh, down goes the Shimakaze, so... well, now, the friendlies are out of destroyers and they don't have any caps. This is not a situation you wanna be in. Now, IamOiman still waiting for a good opportunity here. He is going for armor piercing now, for that Mogami broadside, and hoping probably that the Mogami doesn't pay too much attention to him. And it's back to high explosive. Now, that North Carolina here is still hanging on. Unfortunately, the North Carolina is too far away, so he can't finish her off. But the North Carolina can shoot him, and that might just be disastrous, but there's nothing he can do about it. Now, right now, he is still focusing on the Mogami, and the angle might just be sufficient enough that he can go for armor piercing soon. He tried one salvo there, didn't quite get the result he liked, so it's high explosive time again. Mogami also seems to be angling. But it's armor piercing again. This time he is waiting for a very good angle and... well, I guess 4 penetrations at least. That's one threat dealt with. Now, ship-wise, it's not looking too bad for the friendlies, but there is a massive points difference. And they still don't have destroyers to take the caps. There is a brawl happening up here in the north. But like the Amagi, the Monarch and the North Carolina have really good angles on the Bismarck. Like, I mean, North Carolina not. But those ships down here should be able to do decent damage to the Bismarck. And that North Carolina is probably going to sink considering how much broadside he shows. Meanwhile, the South Carolina down here is... wait, no, North Carolina. South Carolina would be a bit wrong in this matchmaking, I suppose. Yeah, enemy ship dealt with. And maybe this is still winnable. Unfortunately, it has a pretty healthy Iowa over there. And once again, I mean, our Chapayev here is on pretty low health. Like, one salvo from this Iowa could just completely wreck him. There isn't much he can do about that. Now, he could try to go into concealment and cap C, depending on where the destroyers currently are. This may or may not work. Actually, the Iowa dropped into concealment, which is also kind of scary. But yeah, the friendlies need this. I mean, they have the A cap at least, but they need the C cap as well to stop the bleed a little bit. There is still 7 minutes to go, so plenty of time to actually win this. But it depends on how many ships the friendlies lose as well. And we also have to keep in mind that the enemy destroyers can't just sneak in and take caps, which the friendly ships might not be able to do. Now thankfully this Iowa is completely uninterested in a low health Chapayev. He has much juicier things to shoot at, like, I don't know, probably a pretty healthy Attacker. Now as long as the Iowa isn't turning his guns this way, Chapayev can't just keep showing complete broadside. He should have enough time to turn once he sees that the Iowa takes an interest in him. But yeah. So far, interestingly enough, the Iowa doesn't care. Now, we know one of the enemy destroyers is in the A cap. Unfortunately, the battleships might not be able to do a lot about this. Maybe the Henry could. Might also depend if the Henry brought Hydro or not. At least the Henry would have an easier time, I suppose, dealing with a destroyer than an Amagi. Now, thankfully, I'm still not entirely certain what the enemy Iowa is playing. It looks like not an awful lot currently. But he's just getting farmed, and that might bring the friendly team a little bit closer to victory. There is a high caliber award. And down went the Iowa. Now Chapayev here is happily taking the C cap. Unfortunately, the friendlies have lost A again. I mean, I guess the battleships were too scared to try to defend so far. It's a tough place to be in, because there's a 2 torpedo boats. Pushing into a torpedo boat is not something you want to do in a battleship, but not pushing into this torpedo boat, like letting the enemy cap, is a certain loss. So I'd take the risky push over a certain loss anytime of day, I suppose. I mean, maybe the battleships are hoping that the cruisers will at some point end up at the front lines, who would have a little bit easier deal, but only the Chapayev has radar. He still has 2 charges left. Now all he has to do is get close enough to maybe use them. Now we know where the Yugumi is, and the Yugumi might just be trying to ambush those battleships over there. I mean, smartest move for the Yugumi would be to sail away. I mean, he can't just sail this way, stay undetected forever, and just torpedo the incoming ships. For some reason, the Yugumi always gets detected a little bit. It looks like he's playing this a little bit too careless, like he wants to get so close with his torpedoes that he's getting spotted on occasion. Now, IamOiman here got spotted, so he is popping his radar, and look at that, he's found himself the Shimakaze. Unfortunately, the Shimakaze is still pretty healthy. Let's hope that the friendly team can do quite a bit of damage to this guy before he can escape again. Well, I guess they did something. At least they forced the Shimakaze a little bit further away. Now the friendlies have lost a battleship up here in north. So it's 4 against 2, but the enemy team just has a huge points lead. Now what the friendlies really want to do is capture. And this Yugumi can't, well, I mean, if they dodge torpedo salvos, they probably can take A. The Yugumi can't really stay in A indefinitely, because they'll just get close enough and spot him. So if the Yugumi wants to play it carefully, he has to kite away and just launch torpedoes and hope those torpedoes interrupt him. Now I'm not sure why this Yugumi is spotted. Maybe he's using his guns. So he's trying to interrupt those guys with his guns. It's a terrible choice for the Yugumi. I mean, if the Yugumi sinks, the enemy team loses quite a few points, and he also loses his chance to torpedo something. There is still like 3 minutes left. So if the Yugumi hadn't suicided right now, it would look a lot worse. Now one thing that's still remaining is the Shimakaze. If the Shimakaze is smart, he is capping C right now. I mean, I guess there are 2 approaches for the Shimakaze. He could either hide in the corner and hope that the points are enough, but I'm not sure if that's the case. Or he could go and cap C. Well, I guess he can stay around here and try to torpedo stuff, but hunting at Chapayev comes at a risk, because Chapayev is radar. So radar isn't quite ready yet, but it's almost ready. And there goes the last radar charge. Shimakaze was too close, he is being spotted here. But unfortunately, I mean, it's only probably the Atago and the Chapayev that can shoot the Shimakaze, and that's 10 kilometers. There is obviously... There will be a lot of shells that the Shimakaze dodges. Also, radar only lasts for a brief moment in a Russian ship. Now, considering that he's out of radar charges, now what he's doing, he is turning away. He is turning away for a simple reason. Because if the friendlies lose a ship, they probably lose the game. There is 1 minute, well, a bit over a minute left to play, and the friendlies have almost caught up to the points. The enemies aren't generating any points, and the friendlies should overtake the enemy team in this 1 minute. But if they lose a ship, then they probably lose the game. And the best way to get sunk by Shimakaze is to chase a Shimakaze. If you're sailing away from said Shima, what's he going to do, right? The torpedoes probably won't catch up with you. So, the moment the last radar charge was gone and the Shima was basically unspotted for good, best thing the friendlies could do is just disengage. Now there are torpedoes coming, and depending on where the other launchers go, maybe they can hit the Atago. Now I don't understand this Atago's turn, right? He knows torpedoes are coming from over there. There could have been more salvos launched, I guess. But anyway, it looks like the enemy Shimakaze has shown herself. Maybe he is trying to gun something. I mean, that Shimakaze has to sink something or he'll lose. At this point, does sinking something even help? I think it's about 100-point difference, so maybe it would. Maybe he's hoping to detonate the Atago or something, but it's a friendly win. Now here we are with the results. IamOiman earned himself 3,306 base experience. Very nicely done by him, and this was a pretty close one, and it's a pretty impressive result for the low tier ship in a tier 10 battle. Now, IamOiman also achieved an Arsonist, a Confederate, a Veteran, a High Caliber, scoring 191,000 points of damage and almost getting a Kraken. Very nicely done by him, especially as the low tier ship. This was a pretty close one. If the one enemy destroyer hadn't suicided in the end and the other one had just gone for the cap, the friendlies would probably have lost it. But, you know, it was a nice battle. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you guys next time.